Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Girls Like Hoops podcast. I'm Tori. I hope you guys are having a great week. Hi, it's Tori, and way in the future, I'm so sorry this episode is late. I addressed why it was being recorded late and then why it's being uploaded way later than usual. I came down to see my grandma and visit her. I wanted to come with my dad, and she has dementia, and I want to come and spend time with her, so yeah. But I had the most amazing opportunity today, which is another reason why this episode is late, to go on somebody else's platform and talk about the WNBA. And, it was like interview style. We talked about Rookie of the Year, and I gave who I think would be winning Rookie of the Year if I got a vote, and that voting needed to happen today. I even talked about what metrics I would use to determine who I would choose, and it was a really great time. We talked about contenders for the WNBA, and I talked about some things that I don't typically talk about on this podcast or address, so it was really fun and cool and different. And if you want to go and support that and check that out, I think it would be so great and so amazing. I just love the idea of people propping up the WNBA in general and talking about it who aren't necessarily big figurehead places like, ESPN or CBS or whatever. So if you're interested in that, please go check it out. I'm going to leave the description and whatever you're listening to this on in the, the little box down below. So thank you guys again so much for listening and sticking with me. Next week, I'm going to be on time, or I'm going to try my best to be, okay? And I'm going to leave it to me to get back into the basketball. Okay, I'm going to see you guys. It is 5:46 a.m. on a Saturday, and I'm going to be so honest, I'm really tired. I was trying my best to watch all the games. I went on vacation with my family this week, and it was really great. Awesome, cool beans. We had a great time. I was living my best life playing in the ocean. My boogie board was boogieing, all of the things. I ate good. And had anybody said any words to me about basketball, I would have literally been like, girl, what's basketball? Because it was the furthest thing from my mind. And then on Wednesday, I was like, oh, wow, I've only watched 3 games this week. And I was like, it's time to lock in because there was 15 of them. And if I'm being fully transparent, I watched 14 of the 15. But if I'm being brutally honest, I really watched 11 or 12 of them. Yeah. And then I put the other ones on 2 times speed. And then I was just crossing my fingers that I was able to come up with analysis from the 2 times speed, which, let's be real. Is that really possible? No. Anywho, I want you guys to know I'm sorry that this episode is late. I say that every week at this point, but I am sorry. I really am. I want to be better, but I am just me. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, but what would be really great is if you would subscribe or follow me on whatever you're listening to this on to stay up to date on new episodes of the podcast, so that you're not waiting around for me. You don't pop up on here on Friday and you go and click on the podcast and you're like, dang, where's the new episode at? That way, you'll just get the little push notification. It'll be so great. So go ahead, subscribe, follow, do whatever you do. And feel free to comment if you're on YouTube, share, do whatever you need to do. All the social media and everything is in the description below. We have a Twitter account now. And also I do updates of live games that I watch on TikTok. And I just be goofing and yapping over there if you're interested in watching that. So go check it out if you're interested. Everything's in the link tree. Also, Spotify got rid of the Q&A feature and they turned it into comments now. So now I can comment back to you guys. So please get in the comments on Spotify if you're listening or watching over there. I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you're on YouTube, feel free to comment here. Of course, I'm going to respond to the comments from the past 2 weeks. I know I have been slacking. I know. But I'm going to respond to those because I'm going to be in the car for a while because I'm going to visit my grandma today. So I'll have nothing but time on my hands. So please feel free to do that. Get in the comments. It makes my heart all warm to know that you guys are listening. It really makes me feel very comfortable. Last week on Spotify, I did ask, who do we think got snubbed in the All-Star voting? And a lot of the responses were Ezzy Magbagor, Kennedy Carter. I think I saw one for Benigel Hamilton and another one for Dejanay Carrington. And I, again, really love you guys interacting, and I really appreciate it. And there was something else I'm supposed to say. Oh, the poll is also available for you guys to vote on for this week's episode. It's over on Spotify. And you can go and vote on there. And then whatever question I ask on the poll, I usually give the results of the next week on the podcast. So last week I asked, what team did we think was going to be making a resurgence after the Olympic break in the standings, and I got 7 votes for the Dallas Wings, 2 votes for the Indiana Fever, and 1 vote for the Phoenix Mercury. And again, I do want to thank you guys so much for listening, and it means a lot to me and watching, and to the people who were commenting last week about on TikTok about listening in Australia. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I really appreciate it. I say this every single week, and like the best comparison to me saying this every week is like, like, or maybe not everybody knows, but sometimes when I get like tipsy with my friends, I'll get to the point in the night where I'm like, I just love you guys so much. Like, I'm so glad that I met you, and I'm just so grateful that I know you and you're in my life, and I just don't know who I would be. Like, I almost didn't meet you because I didn't go to college here, and it's a whole thing. And I know I come on here every week, and I'm like, I'm just so grateful. But when you really think about it, it's like I'm just like a little person who like nobody probably knows off the streets, and it's just like, wow, people all over the world are like listening to this podcast, and we're growing and building community talking about the WNBA. And I think that it's just so cool, because who would have thought? And honestly, had you told me that I would be doing this a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I would have actually laughed in your face. So this is really great. Thanks guys so much for being here. Let's get into the basketball. This week we're covering July 5th through the 11th for the people who need to know. And first, wow, you can clearly tell that I have not been to sleep. Anyways, but we're gonna be covering Friday, which was July 5th. That was what I like to call upset night, because everybody who I thought was winning last week certainly did no such thing. And it was actually low-key embarrassing. But first things first, I do want to say that the Australian and Canadian national teams have been announced. I was going to have like the names of them, but it's 5:52 a.m. on a Saturday. So we're not doing that. I'm going to go off the top of my head. The Australian national team is going to be coached by Sandy Brondello, which is super cool, honestly. And it's honestly really cool that so many of the Australian and Canadian national team members play in the WNBA as well. And it really is a testament that like this league is like the best of the best playing against each other. And I really love that for them. So Australian players, I believe, are Ezzy Magbagor, Stephanie Talbot. Oh my gosh, there's somebody else. Who is it? I want to say Sammy Whitcomb is definitely on there. And there's a 4th player that I can't. Oh, Alana Smith also. And I'm sure that there's probably somebody else that I have not named. And to them, I am so sorry. But those are the ones off the top of my head. And Sandy Brondello, good luck to them. You won't be winning the gold, but hey, it's really cool that you're going. Anywho, for the Canadian national team, I don't know who's coaching them. Do I know? I don't. But the players off the top of my head that I heard about playing for the team this week are Kia Nurse. There's somebody from the Atlanta Dream Team, but I don't want to like mispronounce her name because that would actually be ignorant. And then there's Aaliyah Edwards. I'm going to put it on the screen. Aaliyah Edwards and Bridget Carlton. And I think those are like the ones that I remember. If I missed your name, I'm so sorry. Actually, that's pitiful. But yeah, it's really exciting that that's happening. And I'm really excited for the Olympics. I'm ready to see the best of the best playing against each other in the Olympics. And honestly, the U.S. men's national team has been doing some scrimmages, and they've been looking pretty decent. So I'm excited to see what happens there. I love watching Steph Curry play basketball. So the fact that I get to watch him do that and try to pursue this gold medal is going to be really great. If he can come home and get that 5th ring, I will never shut up. Anyways, back to what we need to be talking about. This week, to distract you guys from the fact that I didn't watch all 15 games, somebody on TikTok went and asked for a coach's power ranking. And so I'm going to give you my power ranking. Genuinely, I was going to put my favorite coaches to my least favorite coaches, but that seemed a little bit ignorant. So I was like, okay, we're going to do the right thing. And I think I have a decent power ranking, and I'm going to give a little bit of explanation of why I chose them. So at number 1, we have Becky Hammon. I think her having 2 championships under her belt and coaching for like 2.5 seasons at this point, And then, learning under Greg Popovich is honestly just a good enough reason to be number one in general. But I think her being a former player, and not only that, but being a Hall of Famer, and just really just her being the best of the best at every level, I just feel like that's iconic and deserves to be number one. It's not just because like the Aces are my favorite team or anything, but I came up with valid reasons to like distract from the fact that the Aces are just my favorite team. But Becky Hammon, I feel like she's going to be, if she's able to like get this three-peat done this season, which I think that they will be able to, I think she's definitely going down in the history books for much more than just her being, a WNBA player, which is really exciting for them and for her. And honestly, to watch this team like go and make history has been really fun. And I'm excited for what's to come for the rest of the season anyways. But also I just think like on like a coaching level, I think it's really cool that she knows exactly what her players need to hear from her and know what to demand from her players. And I just love that team in general. I feel like they are cultivating a really great culture, and it's just really cool to watch them be great in real time. At number 2 in the coaches power ranking, we have Sandy Brondello. She has so much experience and has done a great job coaching the Mercury, and also has done well with the Liberty. I think I rarely ever question her coaching decisions. I think that I like that she allows her younger players to play. And I also like that. What else do I like from my notes? Oh, I think a lot of times when the Liberty like lose games, it's rarely because of her coaching decisions, and a lot of times it's because of like execution or like foul trouble, and it's rarely because like like she didn't drop a good play, or she didn't know when to call a timeout, or stuff like that. I think she makes like really great in the moment decisions, and I'm sure she's going to do a great job, and good luck to her in the Australian national team. I'm sure it's going to be a movie over there. Not a movie in terms of winning gold, because you won't be doing that like I said, but you got some great pieces over there, Sandy, so good luck to you. Third, we have Cheryl Reeves. She's the coach of the Lynx. Another coach with just so much experience. She's been coaching since 1988. I wasn't even breathing in 1988, but she's won 4 WNBA championships with the Lynx, and she's won the Commissioner's Cup this year. And she also, I believe, helped the women's team get the gold in the 2020 FIBA World Cup, I believe the Wikipedia page said. She's a 3-time coach of the year, and there have been recently, because Nafisa Collier's been gone, there have been a couple of like closing lineup changes that I've questioned a little bit. But outside of that, I think that she's been a really great coach. And I think the belief that she has in this roster has been really fun and nice to see. I think that this roster is also really balanced, and she's just done a really great job of like picking who should be on this team and getting just the right people together to, try and go for a championship. But like I said before, I think her belief in this team has been really nice to see. And even during like the post-game presser when Nafisa Collier went down, she was like, some people had asked her like, what are they going to do and who needs to step up and what needs to happen. And she was kind of just like, nobody can step into the shoes of Nafisa Collier and what she does for this team, but it's just going to take all of us to do that. And I think that the team has responded really well to that. So Cheryl Reeves is taking number 3. Honestly, for number 4, it's Noelle Quinn. I wanted to put her at 2 because I like her a lot, but I decided that Sandy Brondello should probably be at the number 2 spot because she's done great things with the Liberty. Oh, so annoying. Anyways, but Noelle Quinn, one of my favorite coaches, definitely tied at 2 for me personally. She always has a great fit on. You know what I'm saying? She always looks great. Like Noelle Quinn, like she just has it. I don't know what it is, but she has it. And Noelle Quinn gives mother. And if you don't know what that means, I don't know how to help you, but Noelle Quinn is mother, and that's all you need to know. I feel like what I love the most about her coaching style is that she's always just so calm. Like she'll do like the halftime interviews, and she just, no matter like how the team is playing, whether it's good or whether it's bad, she just always comes in calm, and she knows exactly what to say, and she knows exactly what like to ask for of her team. And I really like that she stands by like her players. When Skylar Diggins Smith had just, came back and, her and Jewel Lloyd weren't really shooting that great, like, at the beginning of the season. And, she was just like, she's a mother. She's gonna get there. We just have to believe in each other, and we have to do the other things right. Eventually she's gonna get there, and I have no doubt in my mind about that. And I never question her decision making. And she's won 2 championships with the Seattle Storm, I believe. And I think she's going down in the history books. I think she's a really great coach, and I really trust and respect the decisions that she makes, which is why I'm not worried about Nika Mule. Yeah, I think that she makes the decisions that need to be made, and I think that under her leadership and guidance, I think that Nika's going to be a really great player. So that's what I want to say there. At number 5, I have Stephanie White. She's the coach of the Sun. What she's done with them this season, obviously really great. They're number 2 in the standings. And again, I do question the play style of the team, but at the same time, it's not like this team is built of like knockdown shooters or anything. So I think that the play style that she has going for the team works for them. And if it wins a championship, that's really great. If it doesn't, understandable. But I think what she's been able to do coaching wise and the adjustments that she makes throughout the games have been really great and pivotal. Honestly, I think that this team goes out there and they execute and they know what they want and they're all going for that championship. And I think that she's definitely somebody who is equipped for that goal. At number 6, I have Latricia Trammell. I hope I said her name right. There's a lot of I's in there. A lot of T's, a lot of A's. Yeah, a lot of A's. Yeah. But she's number 6 on my list. I think I don't know. I don't really know what it is about her, but I just really like her. And so I put her at 6. I found out actually that she's the assistant coach of my alma mater in Georgia State University, so big ups to Miss Girl. That put like 6 brownie points up on the scale, you know what I'm saying? But honestly, there was a couple of games ago, like, I just think her being able to coach through and honestly, like, see the bright side of things, even though, like, most of her team or, like, a lot of players on her team have been injured. And I just feel like the adjustments that she's been able to make to the starting lineup and all of that, and still, like, believing in her players and everything has honestly been, like, really great for this team. And it's kind of just like the same way with Noelle Quinn. Like, as long as your coach is calm, I feel like, players can just go out there and play the game. And I feel like she makes the right decisions in the moment. She's even talked about how she's still learning some things, like when to call a timeout, like when to challenge, stuff like that. She's still, like, figuring that out. But I feel like she's done a really great job with the Wings this season. And even last season, she had a really great record. So honestly, wishing and hoping that she has many seasons ahead of her. At number 7, I have Teresa Weatherspoon. I don't really like, and somebody's definitely said this, I don't be looking at this guy like that. But I think that, like, her being able, like, her knowing how to talk to her players is such, like, an asset for any coach and for anybody. And the fact that, there were moments this week when Kennedy Carter kind of was getting a little, physical, or like the emotion was more so like overtaking her play. And Teresa Weatherspoon just had the right things to say to her. She knows when to sit her players. She knows when to, put them back on the floor. I think her basketball IQ is obviously very high. I'm sure you can say that about everybody on this list. Otherwise, they wouldn't be this high up in the list. But I think what she's doing there is going to be really great. And I'm honestly excited to see what happens with the Chicago Sky as the years go on. She obviously has the respect of the locker room, and everybody wants to win for her. And it's just really great. She doesn't throw her players under the bus. And I like her. I like her a lot. And I'm excited to see what she does with this organization. And I hope that she has many years ahead of her as well. And now with the rest of these is kind of when we start getting into the the more murkier waters, if you will. At number 8, I have Eric. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. Is it like Tybalt or something? Thibault? I don't know, girl. I don't know what that is. Something with a T. Eric T. You know what I'm saying? The Mystics head coach, the Brunch Bunch head coach. I put him at 8 because he's definitely better than the ones in the bottom 3. I think that he's definitely turned this Mystics team around. They never sucked. They just, it was really tough to look at them early on in the season, but they've really turned around, and I think that that's very commendable. And, it's his first season as a head coach, and he's honestly doing pretty great. I think the adjustments that he's made and what he's been able to do with injuries to his bench has been really great. He didn't really panic. Somebody goes down, he's like, all right, next up. And I think that he's been making the right calls on the players that are next up, and I really like it. Sometimes I do question whether or not he hates Jade Melvin, though, just because I rarely see that girl on the court sometimes when she's needed. But you know what? I'm going to mind my business on that. And so, you know what, Eric? Keep your head up. Next season is going to be the season for you. At number 9, I have Kurt Miller. I know that he used to coach the Sun, but I've never really paid attention to that man for real. And honestly, what I'm seeing with the Sparks, we have things to work on. As of this season, he's in the number 9 spot just because he's not really doing nothing. I think he be having coaching plans. He has coaching plans, which is more than I can say for Nate Tibbetts. He adjusts to things on the fly, but I just think, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about the coaching in regards to Cameron Brink early on. I don't really know. Not to say that it was like bad coaching or anything, but it's kind of like, I don't know. I need to think on that a little bit more. But as of right now, Kurt Miller is at the 9 spot, and I don't have a reason to put him up any higher than that. Number 10... And listen, the bottom, the 10, 11, and 12, they're really all tied for last place. But I had to put it in order. And unfortunately, number 10 is Christy Sides with her bum ass, bruh. Christy Sides is number 10. And it's only because, what is the reason? Oh, because she finally took Christy Wallace out the starting lineup. And that's really it. 11 is Nate Tibbetts, and we all know why, because he's basically a clown, and they don't be winning because he's a great coach. They have been winning because the players have been executing, and that's what I'm going to say there. Number 12 is Tanisha Wright. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways, Unrivaled will have 30 players unveiled before the start of their season. Right now, we know Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, and Chelsea Gray will be playing in Miami next year. And also, Rickea is going to be playing as well. She got unveiled today. So that's really exciting. And I'm sure that the rest of the players are going to be really great. And I'm honestly excited for the Unrivaled League. I think it's going to be really cool. And honestly, again, if Unrivaled is looking for anybody who needs work, I'm available. Anyways, on to the basketball. Starting on Friday with upset night, we had 3 games: Dream versus Wings, Aces versus Sparks, Sky versus Storm. Every prediction I had last week was absolutely incorrect, and that is the beauty of the WNBA. Anybody can win on any given night, and that was proven to me this weekend. Okay, for the commentators for the Dream versus Wings game, it was Fran Harris and John, and no, not John, and Ron Thulin. That's a last name. Anyways, the Wings won. Congrats to them. Jordan Canada had a broken finger, and so she's been out, which at this point, I can't take the Dream seriously. Anytime I think that they're about to sit there and they're about to take off and things are about to go really great for them, we have a broken finger, or we have a lower calf injury, or we have who knows, God knows what else. I can't do it. And that's what makes being from Atlanta so hard. It's hard to root for these teams, and I will die on that hill. Jordan Canada, broken finger, out. Like I said at the half, the Dream shot 50% to Dallas's 42.1%. They also out-rebounded them and had 28 points in the paint to the Wings' 20, but the Wings were still up by 1 going into halftime. And actually, this was honestly a really riveting game. I felt like they played really, they tried. They were out there trying, And, I can't be mad at it. For the Wings, they had great defense in the first quarter, a lot of steals and forced turnovers, which is very necessary for this team. Odyssey Sims was pushing the pace well. She moved the ball well. This game was the best defense I'd seen from them in a while. So I think that, like, taking that and, like, the fact they haven't really won that many games this season, I think being able to build up on those things is really great. Good ball movement in the second quarter as well. JC Sheldon had a breakout game, basically, and you guys know I'll never shut up about that girl. People should be talking about her for Rookie of the Year. Well, not really, but she should be in the mix. They should be at least, like, talking about the girl. I don't hear nobody talking about JC Sheldon. Rickea had some amazing hustle plays. I'm loving the growth of her game this season. She's had some great looks, but what I liked the most was her showing restraint and not taking every shot that was available to her. JC Sheldon had 17 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. She had an amazing night. Congrats to you, JC. If nobody else says it, I will. Rickea had 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. That's an amazing stat right there. Tierra McCowan had 16 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. Odyssey Sims had 14 points, 7 assists, and 5 steals. And Natasha Howard had 10 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Honestly, that was a winning box score right there. Congrats to them. You guys played really hard that game. Really proud of you. For the Atlanta Dream, Haley Jones was cooking low-key in the second quarter. She really was. I've liked seeing her be a little more offensive-minded. I feel like it's fun to watch her do that. And I hope that, like, as the season continues, she continues to do that. And I hope that as her career progresses, she continues to do that. I feel like if she can really unlock that offensiveness, we're going to be in there. Alicia Gray was looking like a My Career 2K player out there, making tough shots. Tina Charles moved up to 3rd all-time scoring this game. And what really got it from me, I have a screenshot of it. I'm going to put it on the screen. But not Tina Charles, there was a coach for the Dream who slammed his clipboard when Odyssey Sims took that 3 to put the Wings up for close to the end of the game. And it was really funny to me. I giggled really bad. But I have a picture and it was really funny. Anyways, but some things to work on. I think there were way too many turnovers. There were 29 of them. At the same time of me saying that, I think the Wings defense was just really good. So I don't really know if all of the 29 turnovers were things that could have been, like, fixed. But, it is what it is. But I think if you take care of the ball on, like, 2 more possessions and you maybe, like, cut down to maybe 27 turnovers, I think maybe this game was winnable. I don't really know, though. I think the team is good in transition. If they can take care of the ball more and capitalize on, like, moving in transition and pushing the ball, I think this team could really turn things around. Tina Charles and Cheyenne Parker-Tyus playing multiple minutes together, I thought that was a good choice. So I hope that continues as the games go on and as the season progresses. Alicia Gray had 19 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. Haley Jones, I was really proud of her game. 16 points, 4 assists. She was 4 of 4 in the first half and finished 7 of 9. Tina Charles had 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Maya Caldwell had 11 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. I thought she played really well that day. Cheyenne Parker-Tyus had 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Honestly, pretty decent game from the Dream. You guys know that I be talking trash, so congrats to them. The more games that I watch from them, the more I feel like I start rooting for them, which is, like, really crazy and slightly tragic. Anyways, next game we have Aces versus Sparks. This was honestly, I remember I watched the fourth quarter of this game and then OT, and then I went back and rewatched the game, but I watched the end of the fourth and I heard the game was close, and when they went to overtime, that was really shocking. I think what was really great about this game, like, we know Dearica Hamby plays hard against this team, and for valid reasons. They were trying to discriminate against her when she was pregnant, and so she left the team, and the Aces were what were they? They were penalized, and they had to pay some money, I believe, and they also had to give up a draft pick, I believe. So she always comes to play really hard against this team. And I think this matchup actually caused some discourse on WNBA Twitter and TikTok. People were kind of bringing up the fact that a lot of energy goes into beating the Aces, but this Sparks team struggles to win games otherwise. And I think that that's a fair point to bring up, honestly. As someone who was really sad about how the Dearica Hamby situation went down, and as somebody who likes Dearica Hamby but is also still an Aces fan, I think like her departure was sad, like I said, but I kind of like that the Sparks care about their teammates so much that they want to win. They put everything on the floor against this team. I still love the Aces, but unfortunately, you know, this is how other teams have reacted to players getting pregnant in the past. You know, I think the same thing happened with Skylar Diggins at some point, and I think like them being beat the way that they were, like putting in so much effort but being beaten overtime, it's kind of like karma for the organization, not necessarily the players, but it is karma for the organization. And you know, I think this is kind of when it's like, if you treat people a certain way, you may never win a matchup against them again. And I think this is just how rivalries are born. And this will probably be a rivalry for many years to come. And honestly, like I said, rightfully so. I think it's fair to call the Sparks out for not being able to win games outside of these matchups. But I think that this team is just in a rebuild, and they're working on a lot of different things and figuring out who to go to at certain times. And Rickea Jackson is really developing. And, you know, when Cameron Brink is there, hopefully next season, it's going to look like a very different team. But, you know, if this is how the Sparks are able to kind of get things going, I have no problem with it. Aerie McDonald, I think having a game like this is kind of embarrassing for the Atlanta Dream. If I recall correctly, Aerie McDonald was on the Dream, and then they went and traded her to the Sparks, and then they got Jordan Canada. And honestly, with the way that this Atlanta team is looking right now and the way that Aerie is playing right now, and really kind of like making a leap, and just like I said, playing really well, it's kind of embarrassing. The Dream and Atlanta teams in general just be fumbling bags, and this is an example of that. Like, Aerie's playing really great, and she played, I think, some of her best basketball the game against the Aces, and Atlanta is basically riddled with injury. Like, Jordan Canada, she was back, and then she broke her finger, so now she's gone, and it's just like, this is kind of embarrassing. Like, all they do is fumble bags over here, but hey, it is what it is at this point. For the Aces, truthfully, I just think like there was just too much fouling this game. At the half, Becky Hammon said that their ball movement was slow and they weren't playing competitively. And I definitely agreed with her. In the second half, they came back and tied it up. They just couldn't get it done, you know, in overtime. Asia Wilson had 35 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 blocks. Kelsey Plum, things were said about her defense in the post-game presser by Aerie McDonald. They said, I think she said something about like sometimes she takes plays off, and so she capitalized on that. And I will neither confirm nor deny that because Kelsey Plum is one of my favorite players. 21 points, 4 rebounds. Jackie Young had 18 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Alicia Clark had 5 rebounds, 6 assists. I think there were a few things that you could point at to explain the loss, but I think you just needed more points from anyone who isn't Asia, Jackie, or Kelsey, and I get it. That's the big three. But they combined for 74 of the 93 points, and everyone else scored 19 points. So, again, I think other people just have to show up and come to the offensive party. Like, they did foul a lot, and the ball movement was, like, a little rough at the beginning, but they definitely had an opportunity to win the game in overtime and even, like, in the fourth, and it just wasn't happening. For the Sparks, Stephanie Talbot is such a great piece for the Sparks team. I've talked about her before on this podcast, like earlier this season in their game against the Lynx in June. I talked about like her playing well and honestly like her court vision and her passing, which I think is going to be really great for the Australian team. Hopefully she's going to be playing then. I think she's out with like a foot injury. Hopefully she's able to play for the Olympics, but seeing her like play well in like basically to that same level, if not better, was really cool. And I hope we continue to see her pass the ball well and even like take some of those shots that she hit. It was just, she had a really great game. And honestly, I would like to hear more people talking about Stephanie Talbot. Sparks only had 3 turnovers this game. They took care of the ball better than the Aces, who had 11 turnovers. Dearica Hamby had 28 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists. She didn't have a super efficient night or anything, but went to the free throw line for 15 shots and made 10 of them. So that's really always going to be great. Ari McDonald had a really great night. She had 23 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. Stephanie Talbot had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, and came up big in the second half and OT. Rickea Jackson had 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. And this was just a good win, I think, overall for the team. I think they're capable of doing this every night. They just have to want to do it, and we'll have more on that as we continue through the week. For Sky versus Storm, the commentators were the usual suspects, Dick Fain and Elise Woodward, who actually they can be pretty biased sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you. Always high energy, but sometimes you're not trying to hear all that. Firstly, I cannot stress to you how much I love the black and green Storm jerseys and also the Lynx black and green jerseys. They're so cute. So if there's anyone from the teams watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, feel free to send me a jersey, please. I'm begging you. I'll take both of those. So somebody from the Lynx and then somebody from the Storm, just go ahead and just send one over. I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, at the beginning of the game, they were taking a look at almost everything, and it was just becoming a lot. And I think that Kennedy Carter and Angel Reese honestly took that personally. There was potential for some foul trouble early on in the game, and Kennedy Carter and Angel Reese, they responded. I think somebody called them Barbie and Ken. Yeah, they called them Barbie and Ken, which I thought was really funny. Anywho, because Kennedy Carter and Angel, the Bayou Barbie. It was funny. It was funny. I'm delirious. Anyways, for the Sky, after those foul calls were made early on in the game, Angel Reese and Kennedy Carter just went and put on a masterclass. Angel had her first 3 of her career this game, which is honestly really cool because I know she's been working on that. And it was a good look, honestly. She was open and she hit it. Kennedy Carter had 33 points. I'm telling you, it was a master class. Kennedy Carter had 33 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. Angel Reese was in foul trouble at one point, but she still went and gave you 27 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. And honestly, this game was to tie Candace Parker's 12 consecutive double-doubles. So as the week went on, she just continued. She broke the record, and then it's just continuing on, creating her own record now. Marina Mabrey, not too much on her because I couldn't go out there and do what she does and be a professional athlete. Last week I was a bit critical of her shot selection, and I'm not going to say rightfully so, but you can put the pieces together. She had 8 points and 7 assists. I like that she took fewer shots this game. A few of them just didn't fall. I thought that some of them were definitely some good looks, but I'm glad to see that she's not putting up too many shots. And I think as the week went on, she kind of stopped taking as many and has become a little bit more efficient, which I think is what you need. And I think eventually she'll be able to put up more, a higher volume of shots and also be efficient. But I think just throwing it up and shooting just because is not always the answer. But hey, shooters shoot, can't be mad at it. For the Storm, Noelle Quinn is always so calm during the interviews. Like I said before, she's just a calming presence. It's almost frightening how calm she is. I think they just had nothing going from 3, honestly. I think most of their points were for certain people were from the free throw line. It wasn't a great shooting night for them. Jordan Horston had 20 points and 6 rebounds, and she had the best efficiency as well. She was 8 of 11. Nneka Ogwumike had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Ezzy, Jewel, and Skylar all combined for 38 points. Genuinely, this was a fairly disappointing game as like a Storm fan to me, but nobody has an answer for Kennedy Carter, honestly. Like, she's just too fast, and as long as the defense is moving with their back to the basket, which they always will be, she's always just going to have the upper hand on like just having a quicker first step. With that being said, I think that they responded well later on in the week in their matchup against them again. So, all is not lost. On Saturday, we had 2 games, Liberty versus Fever. I watched this one live. This was a very enjoyable game for me. Watching the Liberty lose after they beat my Lynx the other day was honestly, it felt sweet. I audibly cackled many times while watching the Liberty get cooked during this game. It just, like I said, it just felt right, and the puzzle pieces just all fit together so perfectly. It really just felt like the world was balanced and the air was just crisper that day. The Liberty deserved to lose at times, and this was one of those times. I'm going to be honest. I think I ended up making a TikTok about this game, and people say things. I have said on this podcast, and I've said over there a couple times, I see potential in this team the same way that I see potential in every team. And I think you can say that any team has the ability to win on any given night. But on paper, the Liberty definitely should have won this game. In the post-game presser, though, Sabrina said the Fever came out playing like this was their Super Bowl, and they didn't match that intensity. And I thought that was a very fair assessment. Sabrina cooked with that one. I do want to say at the beginning of the game, the commentators were yapping, and I believe they ended up showing like a clip of Sandy Brondello and like talking to her, asking her about the game. And she ended up saying something. I don't remember what it was. I think she was talking about how this team is actually really good. And then it gave that commentary, it gave me the feeling that they were going to lose this game. I don't know why, but it just did. But to address something, like I said, I made a TikTok about the game, and there were some people who were like, you're always talking bad about the Fever and all of these things, and that is just simply not the truth. I see the potential in this team. I think that their coach is interesting. I'm not going to say that she's terrible, even though I have maybe sort of kind of said that in the past. I think that, like I said, that every team, and there are so many players in the WNBA that show flashes of greatness, and I think that this team has shown flashes of greatness. It's just about putting that together consistently, and it's also about playing defense, and it's also about playing basketball the right way. And I don't really know if their coach helps them do that 100% of the time. I'd say maybe she helps them do that 50% of the time, and that's being generous. And I don't know. I think that this team definitely, yes, has the ability to be great. They're just not currently in the setup to do that. I think that sometimes, and I'll say this throughout the week, but I think that sometimes, like, Christy be trying to do new stuff. And sometimes, and not even sometimes, it really just comes down to, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. And that's definitely the type of time that I'm on when it comes to this team. Anyways, the Liberty, they were out rebounded. And let me just say this, they have been saying all week, for like before then, for like the past week, they were talking about how Sabrina's been under the weather. And I was making a TikTok while I watched this game, and I said, I have a feeling that they're going to be talking about how Sabrina hasn't been feeling well, and they're going to try and talk about how she's been feeling under the weather, and that's why she's not playing to a certain level, because they love to create like this narrative that whenever this team doesn't play well, they love to like find excuses for why, which, okay, she's under the weather, but like if you're out there playing, I don't really be giving passes for stuff like that. And sure enough, I'm playing my mini clip pool on my phone, and I hear something from the commentators in the third quarter, and they were like, yeah, Sabrina hasn't been feeling well. She's been chewing electrolyte gum. And I was like, There ain't no way. Like, there's no way. It's too predictable at this point. Like, they're always gonna come up with an excuse for why this team isn't showing up when the lights are bright. They always come up with an excuse for this team, and I'm sick of it. Honestly, I'm sick of it. It's getting old, and it's getting old very quickly. Anyways, yeah, like I was saying, they're always coming up with like these excuses for why this team isn't performing at the level that they should be with 3 all-stars on the team, and I'm not letting it slide anymore. If Sabrina's down, that's when Jonquel and Brianna Stewart need to get up there and they need to fight back. All I'm saying, they start fighting back. I never see them fighting back like that sometimes. And then after nobody starts fighting back, then I'm hearing the excuses of, oh, she's been sick, she's under the weather, she's electrolyte gum. No, ma'am, that's not good enough. Come playoff time, when the Liberty inevitably get cooked, I will be giggling on this podcast because truthfully, if we're going to keep it a buck, I like Brianna Stewart. I enjoyed watching her when she played for the Storm, and I still enjoy her now. I'm excited to see her with the Unrivaled League and everything, and honestly, she's a bright spot on the Liberty team to me. But Brianna has not been playing to her typical level that she did last season, or even to the caliber that we're used to seeing from her. And I think that it would be wrong to not bring that up. And I never hear anybody talking about that, really. But then I went on the Reddit app the other day and I saw that somebody had mentioned it in the WNBA subreddit, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. But when I read it, they were doing a little lot. They were doing a little lot on there, on little comments. And I'm just gonna say that I think that she has not played to the level that we've seen her play before. She's obviously still capable of doing that, because honestly, she's like one of the only reasons that the team was even still in the game in the fourth quarter. But it's just confusing for me. It's confusing for me that like some people on these teams don't show up. Some people on this team like don't show up when they need to. And I think that that's the real issue here and something that needs to be talked about. But I think when it comes to the postseason, or even just these games in general, what we've seen this season is that all a team has to do is stop Jonquel Jones from playing well, or stop Brianna Stewart from playing well. And really with Jonquel, it doesn't take much for her to get a character and kind of just like, I don't even know what happens. Like, it's like she clams up and just doesn't play to the level that we've seen her be able to play before, to her MVP level. But the rookies kind of just have been getting underneath some of the vets' skin. And I think JJ is definitely one of the people who that happens to. And they were kind of locking Brianna Stewart up a little bit in the first half of the game. Sabrina, she definitely got a tech during this game, and she was yelling at the refs to call the fucking foul, and I thought that was funny. I like seeing the white girls get a little bit feisty. They were not calling some of them fouls, but at the same time, I think you can't rely on foul calls either. Like, you got to knock down the shot. You got to, because if they don't call it, now we're just looking at each other like two big Barneys, and there's no points going on the board. I think you got to be able to knock those layups down. Anyways, Sabrina had 22 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. She was 9 of 23 in general, 4 of 13 from 3, not her most efficient night. She's really started driving in the paint more in the past few games, and this day they just weren't dropping, and she also wasn't getting the foul calls, so it's enough to make anybody upset. But Najalani Hamilton played this game but has not played any more games following. But she had 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. She was 8 of 14. I think something happened with her knee or something, and then we haven't seen her playing since. And I hope she gets better soon, because they definitely need her out there. Brianna Stewart had 14 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. She was 3 of 11, 0 of 5 from 3, and she kept shooting, which was something that was really bothering me in this game. She just kept shooting, and I was like, girl, please give it up. Give it up. It's not falling. It's time to give it up. But they just kept shooting, and it was really weird to watch them play the way that they did this game. Like, it's like they weren't even really trying to get anything going in the paint. It was really weird. She was 2 of 6 from the free throw line, and like I said before, she was the reason that they were even in the game and coming back in the fourth. So congrats to her. Jonquel Jones needs to get on her Zoom. She played 31 minutes and had 6 points. Six points. If I'm going to be honest with you, Jonquel Jones is too big to be in the paint and playing 31 minutes and only has 6 points. I'm sorry. There's just no excuse for that. I'm really sorry. There really isn't. And wasn't even in foul trouble either. So it's kind of like, well, what exactly were we doing on the floor? What exactly were we doing out there? Because it wasn't contributing. 6 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, only 2 fouls, and was 2 of 6 from the free throw line. Looking at the stats, I just have to sigh. For the Fever, they played really great this game. They played hard. This was a very, deserved win for them. Like old girl said at the press conference, they came in there and they played with high intensity, and the Liberty were just never really able to match that. They had more points in the paint, 42 to the Liberty's 30. Caitlin got the first rookie triple-double. She had 19 points, 12 rebounds, 13 assists, and 2 steals. She was 7 of 17, 3 of 12 from 3, but that didn't matter because Aaliyah Boston had 18 points, 8 rebounds, 1 steal, and 2 blocks. That was a really great game for the both of them. Kelsey Mitchell had 14 points, 4 rebounds, shot 5 of 14 and 2 of 7 from 3. And Alyssa Smith had 12 points, 11 rebounds, shot 4 of 8, and was 4 of 6 from the free throw line. So honestly, the Fever had a pretty decent little game. And again, I'll say this, Christy's best coaching decision has been taking Christy Wallace out of the starting lineup. So congrats, Christy. You just got a compliment from me. Next up, we have the Mystics versus Lynx. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really remember anything about this game. I really don't. Let's see what I said, though. That's funny. Anyways, for the Lynx, I don't want to say her name wrong, so we're just going to say the last name. Xanda Lassini continues to save this team. She played really well this night. Alana Smith started... That's funny. Alana Smith started spinning that replay finger this game, and it was so funny because she turned it slowly. So it wasn't not giving replay. It just gives play. I was a bit critical of Courtney Williams last week, and she must have heard me because she played really well this week. Every day that she played this week, she showed up for the team, and they really need that without Nafisa Collier out there. Courtney Williams had 17 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, and 1 block, 2 steals. She had a really great game with a great stat line. Kayla McBride had 17 points, 3 assists, and was 6 of 12. Bridget Carlton had 13 points, 6 rebounds. She shot 4 of 10 and was 3 of 8 from 3. Xanda Lassini was 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and shot 4 of 7. Alana Smith had 7 points, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Dorka Uhas had 11 rebounds, and Diamond Miller and Alyssa Peely have been getting some playing time with Nafisa Collier out. And honestly, they played really well. Obviously, the Lynx won this game, but I'm really proud of this Lynx team. They really stepped it up without Nafisa out there, and I don't think you can ask for too much more of them. For the Mystics, Maisha Hines-Allen had 11 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Ariel Atkins had 15 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, and shot 6 of 15. She cooked. Shatori Walker-Kimbrough had 15 points as well and 4 rebounds and shot 5 of 10. Very efficient for her. Steph Dolson had 10 points and 5 rebounds. Aaliyah Edwards had 10 points, shot 4 of 6. And this is where the thing from really comes in. I really get confused by the coach because Julie Van Loo went 0 of 9 this game, had 0 points. And I just want to know, does he have beef with Jade? Because her not being in the game sooner is confusing to me. I feel like the coach might, he's just dragging his feet to put her in sometimes in the games. And it bothers me a bit. She didn't shoot oh my gosh, really crazy that day. But I feel like she pushes the ball well and gives you really good energy off the bench. And if Julie Van Loo is going 0 of 9, I don't really understand that decision. But okay. I'll let you do you. On Sunday, we had 4 games. We had, starting off with the Dream versus Sun. Full transparency, I wasn't really paying attention to this game in the first quarter because I was watching GP2 2022 Warriors highlights on Twitter, which if you've never seen his highlights from that season, I tell you, that is the definition of a role player. He played so great in that championship run. Definitely go check it out if you're interested. But I locked in for the rest of the game after that. The commentators brought up the fact that the Dream are out of the playoffs right now. I will hype up the Sun in this moment, but to me, this raises the question of what is a successful season for the Dream. And I think when it comes to that question, for me, I think if you don't make the playoffs this year, it's a failed season, because last year they did make the playoffs. They didn't really do anything, but at least they made it. I think with this year, you've updated the roster and you've made some changes. And if you're not able to clinch a playoff spot, I think that this is a failure. And I don't really know what that needs to mean for this Dream team, because I've heard that Tanisha Wright is like on contract for like 4 years. And but if they want to win, I think that you do have to move away from Tanisha Wright. Full transparency, no shade, but it just hasn't really been looking great. And I know that like the team isn't healthy, but I do still question that even if the team was healthy, would the coaching be able to get the job done for this team to be successful? And I don't really know if the answer to that question is yes. So just food for thought. For the Sun, DeWanna Bonner had been in a slump, but of course, she would make sure that she came back against the Atlanta Dream. She would do that. She was cooking everybody on the team. She had 23 points, 4 rebounds, and shot 7 of 9 from 3. Tiffany Mitchell had 13 points, 3 rebounds, shot 4 of 7. Her minutes this week have been great. Brianna Jones had 11 points. Dejanay Carrington had 9 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Alyssa Thomas had 7 points, 7 rebounds, and 9 assists. Honestly, she had more of a quiet week, like shooting-wise. But yeah, I think the Sun team did a really great job. They weren't like, running away with the win or anything, but they definitely, they won it. They made sure to show us why they were number 2 in the standings. For the Dream, being held to 8 points in the second quarter, sigh. 13 turnovers to their 9. Alicia Gray had 19 points and 3 rebounds. She shot 7 of 11. The coach took her out of the game, and rightfully so, in my opinion. I don't think that there's a need to like risk her getting injured, especially with her being an all-star. I don't think you really want to chance that. And also because Ariel Powers is injured, Jordan Canada's injured, Ryan Howard's injured, you definitely need Alicia Gray. She's like one of the only people who's producing anything offensively outside of Tina Charles. So it was a good idea to sit her. Tina Charles had 13 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Nia Coffey had 11 points, and the other 6 players on the team who played combined for 24 points. For the Wings versus Aces game, the Aces won this one. Kia Stokes was out, but it was a close game for a little over half the game. There were 11 lead changes, and then the Aces just finished the Wings off. I think like later on in the third quarter, Kate Martin got her ankles broken by Enrique, which was unfortunate. Luckily, Enrique didn't hit the shot, so that saved it from being anywhere on the internet, but those ankles did get broken, I fear. Asia had 28 points, 10 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks. She was 11 of 22 and 3 of 4 from 3. She's really been developing that 3-point shot, and if she gets that going, I fear for the league. You already can barely guard her in the paint and in the mid-range, and if she gets that 3-pointer going consistently, y'all might as well pack your bags. Nobody will ever win MVP while Asia Wilson is on the court. Kelsey Plum had 23 points and shot 7 of 15. Jackie Young had 18 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals, and shot 7 of 14. Chelsea Gray had 12 points. Honestly, this is really great from like that core four that you have there. If they're able to continue this, I see no reason why they wouldn't be able to three-peat. And honestly, fingers crossed that they're able to do that. I think that this team is super talented, and I always say that, but I think they're going to do big things here. And this was a really great game. For the Wings, they had 46 points in the paint. So honestly, congrats to them. Odyssey Sims has really I think she's really changed the way that Enrique plays, and it kind of takes a lot of the pressure off of Enrique and Natasha Howard to need to be these super great in offensive players, I guess. She had 25 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds, and she was 11 of 18. Very efficient, and I think she moves the ball well and pushes the pace well. I don't think you can ask for too much more from somebody who's in on this team on a hardship contract, and she's definitely a seasoned vet in the league. So congrats to her. And I hope she keeps playing well while we're waiting for the other players to return from injury. Natasha Howard had 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, and was 7 of 18. Enrique had 13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. Kalani Brown had 6 points and 6 rebounds. I like Kalani Brown playing a little bit more. Of course, I like Tierra McCowan, but I do still enjoy watching Kalani Brown, and I kind of wish Kalani Brown was getting more minutes. For the Sky versus Storm, the Storm won this matchup this time. I kept looking at Kennedy Carter's shoes, and I was like, these shoes look so familiar to me, but I couldn't really remember where I saw them. And then they ended up doing a replay of a play, and they zoomed in a little bit, and I was able to see her shoes, and I saw the little K on there, and I was like, oh my gosh, those are Klay Thompson's shoes that I've been looking at for the past 2-3 seasons. I've never known anybody to wear Klay Thompson shoes outside of Kevon Looney. So that was really crazy. So if you're looking for Kennedy Carter's shoes that she wore against the Seattle Storm, they were Klay Thompson shoes. So very interesting. Anyways, for the Storm, they had a very low scoring first quarter. There were some errant passes here and there. Sammy Whitcomb came in there and she did some good things, helped them get the offense going and help with help spark the defense. Sometimes I feel like NECA plays passively when it comes to offense, but when she is not being passive, I think that this team looks really great and definitely contenders for a championship. The closing 4 minutes were a masterclass of unselfish and defensive basketball from the Storm, as he had 2 big rebounds in the closing minutes. The Storm were held to 12 points in the first quarter and 19 in the second, but then they went and held the Sky to 14 and 18. I thought that was they did a really great job defensively to win this game, and that's really what they needed after losing that other game, which was honestly, like I said, very shocking. On paper, I think they were meant to win that game. The Sky aren't terrible, but it's still wow, you kind of expect them to win that game. For Skylar, she took 2 charges, putting her body on the line. Can never be mad at that. I think she played great defense this game, and she shot the dagger to close the game. NECA had 24 points, 13 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block, and she shot 9 of 15, very efficient. Jewel Lloyd had 20 points, 4 assists, shot 6 of 20, not that efficient, but was 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Skylar Diggins Smith, 15 points, 8 assists, 2 blocks, and shot 5 of 8. This is her most efficient night. Really proud of her, and she played some really great defense this game. Ezzie Magbagor had 13 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 4 blocks. And if you ask me, that's an all-star level box score from her. But I digress. I have a couple of notes. The Sky beating some good teams this season is something I don't think that people really talk enough about who aren't Sky fans. So congrats to the Sky, honestly, them beating them on Friday and then coming back on Sunday. That's a tough one, but they played really hard that game, and so they played really hard at the beginning of the game. They just weren't really able to stay in it. I think all the Sky guards outside of Kennedy Carter definitely need to work on their ability to pass the ball inside to Camila Cardoza and Angel Reese, there were like a few bad passes in the post that I think can't happen if you have two players in the post at their caliber. And I'm sure that like the offense is going to run through them at certain points. So it's kind of like you have to be able to pass into them and help them get the ball to make their lives easier. Kennedy Carter, I think, raises a lot of great points of analysis this game. The commentators for this game were definitely biased, but they did bring up how her emotions can run hot at times. And I think that that actually sparks a conversation that I want to have here about like the role of the point guard on certain teams. I think point guards have a lot of responsibility by setting the tone for their team through their play style. And I think it's a very overlooked aspect of point guards.